Good afternoon, y'all. Welcome to another episode of the Florida Rise Podcast. I'm your host, James Brown, and I'm here with my guest, Miss Marlena Petty. Marlena, how's it going?
Hello, I am good. Hello, everyone.
Hey, hey.
I'm blessed.
Today's most definitely, and people will understand that, especially once we get through this episode. Um, Today's episode is one that's actually deeply personal for me. Today's episode is about surviving cancer. Most people, when they hear that you have cancer, they think that it's an automatic death sentence. And you were about as close to a death sentence as anyone that I've ever heard of. And you came back. So I definitely appreciate you for coming on and telling your story. And I genuinely believe that your story is going to help so many more people than you know. So once again, thanks for coming on.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So let's start with, you know, the journey to finding out that you had cancer. Um, First off, what year did you start to experience symptoms?
Um, started having symptoms March 2016.
2016. Okay.
Yes, 2016, like March, April.
Mhm.
Um, I was I was working. I think I was pretty good health. I was,
Okay.
office job or what have you. And I never missed any days of work. I was always on time. I was pretty proud of that job because I was making pretty good money. You know how it is when we make good money, we kind of we make sure we go to work. So yeah, and
Hmm.
yeah, I think I was I would have to talk on the phone uh with clients and what have you, and
Sure.
I had a sore throat.
Okay.
Yeah, I
So,
started out with like I had like swollen, my it was kind of swollen underneath, like just not a regular sore throat, but it was swollen underneath. So
okay.
sore where I was like, okay, well, hey, I don't think I could talk on the phones, appropriately with this type of, soreness. So I had to call out of work.
Okay. So, was that the only symptom that you had, or what other early symptoms did you have that made you say something's not right?
Yeah, that was one of the reasons why I decided to go to the ER because I needed a doctor's note as well. But I had stomach pain and constipation for like a month, which is so weird. You know what I'm saying? I would have to like I should have known is because it's like I didn't have regular, bowel movements or what have you.
Hmm.
So I was frequently taking laxatives and stuff to keep myself regular. So
Hmm.
it was like a whole month would go by and I was not even, going to the bathroom and stuff like that. So
Hmm.
also, yeah, that was, yeah, so that, pretty, if you don't go to the bathroom pretty regularly, that causes pain. So I had
Sure. Sure.
stomach pain.
Okay. So we mix in the sore throat and the stomach pain, along with needing a doctor's note. That's what led you to go to the ER to get checked out, right?
Yes.
Okay. So
Yes.
when you went to the doctor and described these symptoms to them, was it the type of thing where they just brushed it off and said, "Oh, just eat some more vegetables," or did they say, we need to look into this a little bit more?
Um, Pretty much they had given me something for sore throat.
Okay.
I forget what they give me. They had given me something for the sore throat symptoms,
Hmm.
and I think they give me something to for it's like for constipation, and
Okay.
yeah, and they just kind of sent me on home.
Okay. So after that, did the symptoms get better or did they get worse?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they kind of got worse. I would say that was March and April, and
Hmm.
then I think May,
Hmm.
was my next ER visit because I still was having very severe um, stomach pain.
Okay.
And then at that point, yeah, and at that point, they also like, kind of treated the stomach pain and sent me back. And
Okay.
then from the ER, they, you generally at the ER, they may like kind of like, direct you to see your primary care physician.
Sure.
So at that point, I was directed to a primary care doctor, which was
Hmm.
it wasn't my regular primary care doctor. It was at the main um, CMC, which is Carolina Medical Center here in the Carolinas. And
Okay.
so I was directed to, go see um, a MD there after like
Okay.
a couple of ER visits.
Sure.
So yeah, and I had my first doctor's visit at that point with the MD
Mhm.
at the main
Okay.
hospital.
Okay. So when you went there, did they say that things seemed a little out of whack? Did they say we should do more testing? How did that go? What did they say?
Well, thank God. I think that physician was God sent, and I definitely like just so grateful for him. He was an expert.
Hmm.
He actually when he came into the doctor's room, of course you got your gown on and you're sitting there and you're nervous and you don't know what's going on. And
Hmm.
this was my first time meeting him, and he goes right into it. He was a specialist, like I said, and he says
Hmm.
that he had studied me the night before or like a couple of days before.
Okay.
He went all the way back from years from, like maybe I would say like from like till I was like younger or what have you. I don't know, but I don't know what made him. He was a great doctor. So what made him, he studied me and he seen like my doctor's visits, the times where I would maybe go to a blood specialist years before where I had anemia, where my blood was really low all the time. And he
Hmm.
did a lot of studying. He says, hey, Miss Petty, I could be taking a long shot, but I want to do a bone marrow biopsy on you because I think that you have, XYZ. So he didn't say cancer.
Oh,
He
okay.
says, I think you have, I forget his terms, the terminology that he says, but he's just like, let me know that he thinks that he had a sure thing going. He was thinking just this was just it was nothing that was regular that was going on with my body.
Okay.
And so at that point, they did blood work or what have you.
Mhm.
And so they had to schedule a bone marrow biopsy,
Mhm.
which that didn't immediately happen.
Okay.
So in between that time of scheduling a bone marrow biopsy, I began to have bone pain, weight
Okay.
loss, night sweats,
Mhm. Well,
just everything just speeded up. You know what I'm saying? It was just like
mhm.
it became rapid. A lot of different symptoms at that point became rapid, fast and hard.
So, well, first off, you said that you lost weight. About how much weight would you say that you lost?
I would say I was like I'm 5'9" and I was at like 280,
Okay.
and I got down to 121.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
like I would say close to 70 pounds
Wow. Wow.
within
Okay.
3 months.
Oof. Wow, that's a lot. It's a lot of weight. So you go through all of this, and they determine that you need to go for a bone marrow biopsy. Can you
Yeah.
describe exactly what entails a bone marrow biopsy?
Wow. It's where they test in the marrow in your body, of course, and
Okay.
They use like
Sure.
this really long needle, and you
Hmm.
have to like sometimes they sedate you during the procedure, sometimes they
Hmm.
don't. My first experience they didn't, and it's very painful, and you just turn over on your side, and it's like a skill staff, medical staff that's giving it
Sure.
to you, and yeah, and yeah, it was pretty, it was really pretty painful. And at that point, that's funny that you asked, because when I had the bone marrow biopsy, it was so uncomfortable. I actually
Hmm.
kind of like lost consciousness.
Hmm.
I lost consciousness, and all I know is I woke up and I was in the ICU.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it was just so painful. And I guess
Mhm.
maybe it was the pain and the fear of everything was happening so fast and so rapid. And
Mhm.
yeah, it was pretty scary. Yeah, it was pretty
Yeah.
scary.
Yeah. I mean, full disclosure, we've actually spoken about this before. That my father actually had the same type of cancer that you did, and he described the actual test. So for those that don't know, the a team of doctors drill through your skin and into your bone. They're actually
Yes,
drilling through into your bone,
yes.
and there's no amount of medication that they can give, short of sedating you completely, knocking you out, that would stop
No,
the pain
no.
of that. And they scrape a piece of your bone marrow out
Yes, right.
uh,
Yes,
and remove a part of your bone marrow. So yeah,
yes,
it's extremely painful. So
yes,
that's why I always give kudos to those that do bone marrow donations, because it's a
yes.
very painful procedure. Um, so as you were saying, you took the bone marrow exam, you woke up. Well, you passed out. You woke up in the hospital. Got out. How long were you in the hospital at that point?
Um, at that point, probably several days. Probably several days at that point.
Several
Well,
days.
maybe like I would say, yeah, close to probably like going on like a week and a half or so. Um,
Okay. So while you were in there, while you were in there, is that when you got your diagnosis?
the diagnosis didn't come until August of that year. So, like
Wow.
I said, I
Okay.
started the symptoms in March. The diagnosis didn't come until August.
Okay. And when you got the call back from the medical center, you were told that you had multiple myeloma.
Yes. And I was like, what is that? Now I was told like and actually I told you I was told that I have also the blood disorder, which is considered a cancer. It's called amyloidosis.
Okay.
And yeah, and both of them are just um, are particular blood disorders where the body makes unhealthy proteins that just, they just scatter all over the organs inside of the body, and eventually shut the organs down.
Mm, wow. So you had that, and then you had the multiple my. So you have both of those together. So for
Yes.
those that don't have multiple myeloma, I actually had to look up the actual disease again. Even though I had people in my family with it, I needed to do research on it myself. When I
Right.
checked it out online, it said that it's a cancer of the plasma cells. The plasma cells are a type of white blood cells in the bone marrow. With this condition, a group of plasma cells become cancerous and multiplies. The disease can damage your bones, your immune system, your kidneys, and your red blood cell counts. So that's got to be scary just to hear that.
Yes.
Um, what was your reaction to hearing that?
Uh, I was in disbelief. I was just
Uh,
like, I don't know, for some reason, I think I look back now and I just think God protected me. I think
mm,
He just like He covered me, because it's like I just had this strong faith where I just, I don't know. I was in disbelief for a while, and I was just, it just kind of took me into a mode where I was shocked, and I didn't tell, and I didn't say anything. Like I didn't say, it took me months to even share it with people.
Sure. Now, when you did share it with friends and family, what was their reaction?
I don't know. Like I said, I was so secretive because I always been like a private person. I've been independent and moved out since I was 17, and I was just like, well, unfortunately, my mom wasn't here for it because she wasn't living in North Carolina at the time, and
Okay.
I did tell my dad, and my dad was pretty like, he was kind of like, well, he's military, so he didn't show emotions, but he was like heartbroken because I just know he was at the hospital every chance he could get. But
Mm-hmm.
I told my dad, and I did share with my family eventually. Well, I told
Mm-hmm.
my kids. They were the first person. I got two adult kids, and
Okay.
pretty much like the response that I got, nobody every. I don't know. I just at that point. I really don't know the reactions that my family might have had because at that point, like I said, like the amyloidosis is like double with the multiple myeloma. So that attacked the organs. It's not
Mm-hmm.
only the blood cells, so it started attaching. So it affected my heart. So it immediately like my heart and my GI system. So the reason why I was having constipation because my whole intestines was attacked and was not even working. So at that point, I
Mm-hmm.
was in and out the hospital. So
Mm-hmm.
when my family was, they was looking so kind of scared for me when they would come and visit me in the hospital because I was attached to all this stuff and all this would
Sure, sure.
come and so skin and bones. And it's like even my grandbaby, I had a grandbaby that came in that July and she was a newborn and it's like her arms and my arms was about the same size and it was so
Mm-hmm.
crazy. But yeah, they was looking like really worried. So they was very
Sure.
concerned. Yeah, but just because like I said, it's just for some particular reason, once I was diagnosed, I was just in and out it was hospital visit after hospital visit. And it just
Mm.
I guess because it just became very rapid. It started to become very rapid.
Okay. So you get diagnosed, you're in and out of the hospital, and you decide, I'm going to go fight. So you start treatment. What exactly was the treatment like? Which I know had to be different because you had two ailments at once. So
Right.
what was the treatment like? What types of treatments did the professionals do on you?
They suggested chemotherapy, which I had no idea. It's just like I went into everything like so not knowing what I was going through. But
Mm.
before chemotherapy, now you remember I told you that the I seen my oncologist. I had an appointment with the oncologist from the hospital visit, and she came. She would come to the hospital along with
Mm.
like every morning in the hospital. Be like my oncologist would come, and then it would be like five or six doctors, specialists with medical coats, white coats, would come and
Mm.
surround the foot of my bed with with pen and paper and like just with they were studying me and um
Mm.
it was pretty weird. But my
Mm.
oncologist, once I did get out the hospital, I had an appointment with her, and she says to me, gave me the option if I wanted to call my family and tell them that you know that they would set me up an appointment with hospice.
So that was while you were going to your oncologist?
Yeah. Yeah, they yeah, they told me that they can set me up an appointment with hospice and let my family like be around me and just get comfortable.
Mhm.
And I looked at her and I told her, I was like, is there not something I can do? You know, is there something? She said, well, if you want to fight, we can fight. And that's when she offered me chemotherapy, like
So,
this really strong chemotherapy. And I would have to have chemotherapy for, several hours, couple of days a week,
so, at,
IV
at,
chemotherapy.
so at this point, what stage cancer were you at when they uh,
Yeah, it was stage
offered you the
4.
your stage 4? Okay. Did they give you a certain amount of time before you decided to fight?
Well, they had it available, but I didn't ask them. Yeah, they, it's on record how much
Sure.
time they gave me, but I didn't ask because
Okay.
I just had a certain, I don't know, my grandmother just, I just kind of like, tapped into God and just tried to
Mhm.
use what my grandma had taught me, and I just had faith, and I would just refuse to listen to what they was telling me.
Mhm. So you went, you decided, you know what? I'm going to fight this. This isn't going to take me out. This isn't going to win. So you go to chemo, go for your first day. What's going through your mind as you're walking into that doctor's office?
Uh, it's like a whole, it's a big old floor uh, of people getting treatment.
Hmm.
It's set out really nice and it's real like recliner chairs everywhere and
Hmm.
beds in different sections where either you got the option you can sit in a recliner or you can lay
Hmm.
down in a bed. But at that point, I was on a walker because I had gotten so small, I didn't have much strength. So I was, I would, I had to have, I couldn't walk on my own. So I had to have a walker to assist me as I was going to chemotherapy. So I was pretty numb. And I would look up in the sky and just wonder, I just talked to God and just, I was pretty numb and I just refused to believe what was going on. So I just, the facility, most cancer facilities are really nice. They're really beautiful, really big. And it's really, the Levine Cancer Institute here in Charlotte is really, 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 really major and nice.
Hmm.
And they got a really, like a lot of good specialists and what have you. And it's a real beautiful building. So I
Hmm.
just look around and I was just so little and frail and just look around and like I said, in disbelief, but I just was gravitating to the great things that I would see because I was just like, things that people take for granted. The
Sure.
beautiful portraits on the wall. They had a like a where the sun came through the roof, where a healing garden, just gravitating to all the great things that a lot of people would just overlook.
Hmm. Slow lifeline
So
for you.
yeah, then the chemotherapy, like I said, it would, so several hours of just, either sitting there or laying there, and just the, some people call it poison or whatever, but
Hmm.
uh, um, the the stuff that they inject into your body to try to help kill the cancer. And the nurses are checking on you. The nurses would come and check on you, and the check on the machine to make sure everything's flowing inside your body. To check on you every few minutes to make sure you're okay. Do you need something to drink? Do you need something to snack on? There were crackers. There
Hmm.
were, always all type of healthy snacks, yogurt. waters, coffee, juice.
Mhm.
They just they always did rounds to check on you to make sure that you're okay, you're comfortable. Do you need a warm blanket? Just
Mhm.
every 10, 15 minutes.
Mhm. No,
So
no, how,
that made it a lot. That made it a lot, it was very like the oncology team really, make you feel like, make the patient feel really, comfortable.
so first off, what facility were you at? Because I want to shout them out.
Levine Cancer Institute.
There we go,
You
Levine
you
Cancer
say you want to
Institute.
do what?
I want to shout them out because of the amazing job that they did with you. So Levine Cancer Institute, definitely kudos to them.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yes.
So while you're there, you're going through this chemo, you deciding, you know what? I'm not gonna give up. I'm not going out like that. I'm going to fight. As with all fights, there's some type of pain. There's some type of struggle. Uh, Physically, what type of toll chemo take on you?
What? Say that again.
Physically, what type of toll did they take on you?
What type of toll did the chemo do?
Yeah, physically, like physically,
Oh, okay.
how did the chemo
The
affect you?
chemo, well, during the chemo, it caused the night sweats every night.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
no sleep. The chemo that I was particularly taking, it's like my nights would turn like run into day. It's like I was not sleeping more than 2 to 3 hours a night.
Okay.
It kept me up. It makes you tired. You know what I'm saying? It sounds
Sure.
weird, but it makes you weak and it makes you tired. But when it's time to sleep at night, you can't sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's the treatment. It's the treatment that's keeping you up. What they're using to fight the disease is fighting the disease, but it's making your body react.
Okay.
So yeah, and then the swelling of my feet and my legs were like elephants. Like my legs and my feet were so big, like
Mm-hmm.
like elephant feet. Like really, like just imagine a little skinny body, but big puffy elephant feet. Like it was horrific. It was crazy.
Mm.
Yeah, and all
Now,
of this was from the chemo, the treatments that they were
mm,
fighting the disease to keep the numbers down,
sure, sure,
but your body reacts.
definitely. Now, the physical part, that's the part that we can see. The part that we can't see usually is the mental toll that it takes on you. So, mentally, how did you deal with, first off, being diagnosed uh, uh, with multiple myeloma, being told that you were going to go to hospice, and then, fighting, and then going through the fight mentally, what was going on?
Um, I don't know. It was really dark. It was really really dark. Of course, even the times where I wasn't hospitalized, I stayed. I stayed on my own and my
Mm,
own place. And my youngest daughter was in college, so she was off in
sure.
another state. And my oldest daughter
Hmm.
had, she lived in her own place. And a
Hmm.
lot of the times I wanted to be alone. It was
Hmm.
just me and God. I just I was numb. I was depressed. I was numb. I felt so insignificant, so small. Just I just mentally I would think about like I'm like here I am like uh just fading away it seems like, and I would wonder like what are my neighbors, what is, as I drive down the street I'm wondering like what's going on in everybody's household. Are they happy? Are they
Mm.
living? Are they It's weird like your mind just like I don't know, it was just like a prison and it was so
Sure,
dark, and I felt like nobody understood.
sure,
Yeah, it
sure.
was just really, really, really dark place, if that makes sense. It's like a really dark
Mm,
cloud that's literally like, yeah, it was really
mm.
dark.
It- were there ever any times when you just felt like giving up while going through this process?
Um, no, I wanted
Because
to
that's
live. I wanted to
there we go.
live,
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to live. Like I would like, in between like going to the doctors or whatever, the chance that I get, because I could no longer drive, so I had to be driven around. And so, I would, roll the window down just a little bit and just let the wind blow in my face, and
Mm-hmm.
just felt so good to have just the wind blow in your face, just let me know I was alive.
Mm-hmm.
It felt so good, just to have the sun to shine on your face.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I wanted
Wow.
to live. I wanted to live.
Did you ever go to therapy while you were going through this? Go to a psychologist while you were going through this?
Well, not not into after treatments, after chemo. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I had chemotherapy, and
Mm-hmm.
then it started not to work anymore. So um my oncologist did studies and stuff like that, and my numbers started to spike. And so she was able to, after, you have to kind of do the chemotherapy first option,
Mm-hmm.
and then I was offered a stem cell transplant. A
Okay.
stem cell transplant is where they take your blood and they kill the cancer and put your blood back into your body. Like it's a transplant
Okay.
of blood.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, after I had my stem cell transplant, so a couple of months after, I was able to have therapy
Mm-hmm.
and talk to they have on board therapists there.
Sure. Okay. So you started getting the therapy. You're going through your stem cell transplants. Um, at what point do you start to see some results, some positive results?
Um uh After the stem cell transplant, I say several months on down the road.
Okay.
But then after the stem cell transplant, because of how strong, the third day after they transfer your blood and the stem cells that's in your blood, they freeze it. I don't know, it's hard to explain, but and then
Mm-hmm.
they do that, and then on the third day they inject you with the strongest chemo that you could ever have. And on the third day. And so the third day is where the process of all of my hair began to come out. So then, like, so shortly after that, first week, second week, just all of my hair, like, just like began to just, and then by the end of that month, I was completely bald, like a newborn baby, just completely bald. And then, you know, that's when my dad and stuff he bought me just so many nice scarves and all of that. Try to. Yeah, I was very insecure, like very like meat hanging off my bones, and like I was so I did not want to. I don't know. It was really dark. I was very very insecure, and so after I lost my hair, what have you, but the beach was actually like a really really happy place. So I would say a couple of months after, like maybe 2 or 3 months after my stem cell transplant, I was just like, I want to go to the beach. That's my happy place. That's God's creation.
Mhm.
I was going to the beach still throughout the process. Like when I had a strong moment, I would just request, I want to go to the beach. I want to just sit on the sand, see the sunrise, talk to God. I just wanted
Mhm.
to just be in God's creation. Just like I said, the wind, the sun, just all of God, the creation was just so healing to me. So like so fast forward after the stem cell transplant and losing all of my hair and being that took a toll on me because I always had long hair. I always
Mhm.
had long hair, and to me, like I was just thinking, I was like my grandmother would tell me, "Your hair is your
Mhm.
strength," and I always
Mhm.
thought that, like Simon in the Bible, like my hair was my strength, and I felt so
Mhm.
violated. I felt so.
Mhm.
It was just so depressing that I lost all my hair. I didn't feel beautiful at all. I felt so ugly. I just felt everybody was saying, "Well, you got a nice face or whatever, and you still okay, whatever." But
Mhm.
I was
Mhm.
just so sad. But I just, I talked to God, and I don't know, for some reason, I would have my sad moments, but I would make myself like snap out of it and,
Mhm.
just believe and just, try not to stay in that dark place. So several months afterwards, it took me a year, I would say, to kind of find strength though, because
Mhm.
yeah, it took me a year to find strength. And then like about 7 or 8 months later, little peach fuzz of my hair started coming back,
Mhm.
and my eyebrows and my eyelashes about 8, 9 months into it. And
Mhm.
yeah, and then like I said, it took like a year, uh, a little over a year to find some kind of normalcy where I could start walking with just not the walker, with a cane. I'll go back
Okay.
and forth to my appointments on a cane instead of the walker. And so I found a little bit of strength and stuff like
Okay.
that. So um it took me 2 years to kind of like hair started growing back, got my strength, was able to go to church, and
Mhm.
the
So
pain
wow.
and the nausea still was there though. The after symptoms, I was still on
Mhm.
medication, you know what I'm saying? The pain and the
Mhm.
nausea. Thank God, I would say
Mhm.
2020, fast forward 2020 is when I felt a little normal. I was able
Mhm.
to do some of my regular stuff.
Sure. Wow. Wow. That's a long time. It's a long time. So you go, you get your stem cell, start to recover. Um, you start. I guess you start to feel better while you're in the hospital. You start to feel like you're getting stronger. Is that how you felt?
Well, not yet. It took some
Okay.
time. I still was like really frail and really weak.
Okay.
Yeah. It took about 8 or 9 months to kind of like, because the nausea is the worst. Like yeah,
Mhm.
and like it took like 2020. I was able to like eat a plate of food. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because
Mhm.
like, I would just be able to just take little bites of stuff, like to be able to eat,
Mhm.
like, you know what I'm saying, a meat, like, because my daughter took me out to dinner. She was like, "Oh, you're able to eat a whole plate now," because like I was just
Mhm.
able just to eat or nibble on stuff. I wasn't able to eat like a meat with the two sides and stuff
Mhm.
like that. So yeah, because I like, even though you're like, my body was healing, so to speak, I
Mhm.
still, the side effects, the nausea and the pain was still there.
Wow. Okay. So you're going through this process. You go to the doctors, and the doctor says, "You know what? Everything works. Your cancer's in remission."
Yes, yes.
What is just take me after this journey? What is it like to the doctor
Yes.
say you're in remission? One.
So I had the stem cell transplant in
Mm-hmm.
2017 in September.
Mm-hmm.
March, about March or April of 2018. And,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I had an Indian, Dr. Bhutani. Shout out to Dr. Marisha Bhutani, and at the
Mm-hmm.
Levine Cancer Institute. She's very, very, very smart. Very smart. I love her to death. And
Mm-hmm.
and she tells me, I guess I don't know if it's unethical, or if that wasn't, God wasn't, she wasn't religious or what have you. And she says to me, your numbers look very good. And it's like, it's some type of, she wanted to say miracle. Well, to me, she wanted to say miracle, but she was like, I just can't believe it. Your numbers
Mm-hmm.
are, your numbers are very good, and your cancer is under control. Your myeloma is under control.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, wow, thank you, Jesus.
Mm-hmm. I know that you were ready to jump for joy at that point.
Yes, smiling like,
Mm-hmm.
but I just had faith that God was gonna, God was gonna do it. But like I said, the doctors was just like, each time I went, like after each week, they have to keep checking on me after the stem cell transplant. So each time they just like, they was in disbelief
Mm-hmm.
that my numbers would get better and better and better and better.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy.
So when you find out you're in remission, what's the first thing that you did? Did you go out? Did you celebrate? Did you go get some good food? Go
I
for a
went to the
walk?
beach. I'm telling you, if you like, my Facebook followers, like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, you there again? Like, they was making comments like, I was like at the beach like at least about 4 or 5 times, like, I mean more than that a year. Like each time, even like, I mean, I can remember, like, I would go to the beach, like, even if I was so weak that I could not like walk a block to even enjoy it, like, I still would go, like,
Mm-hmm.
long as I can make it to the sand or the water, like, take baby
Mm-hmm.
steps. And by the time I get to the sand, and just to sit there for a moment, I'm tired, don't have any more strength, so I got to go back to the hotel. But just long as I was at the beach, I just was happy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't have energy to just, do a lot of, stuff or whatever, but I didn't care. Like, I still
Sure.
just wanted to be there. So yeah, I went and celebrated. I went to the beach.
So how did your family take it when you told them?
Thank they was like, thank God. They was happy. And my mom, she was even though she wasn't physically there, she was
Mm-hmm.
like on the phone with me. She was, I want to say, I forgot to mention that she was calling me every single day throughout the day, praying with me. She actually she made pictures of me, and like flyers or posters or what have you, and
Mm-hmm.
just mailed them out to all the pastors and ministers, like big time
Mm-hmm.
ministers, and asked them to pray for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like Bishop Jakes, Joel Osteen, Joyce
Really?
Myers, like, yeah, she wrote them. Yeah, Pastor Stephen as well. Um,
Wow.
yeah, she sent them out, and yeah, and she was like, standing in the gap for me, even though she couldn't physically she couldn't physically be there. And
Mhm,
she would coach me when I would tell her, I would have so much pain. And she
mhm,
would pray for me and tell me to put my hand, place my hands where the pain was and plead the blood of
mhm,
Jesus and stuff like that. So she was
mhm.
there, like, very supportive. Like, she couldn't, like I say, she couldn't be there physically, but she was there, like, emotionally, for me. So yeah.
Mhm. That's good. Kudos to your mother. Thanks to your mother just for even helping you get through that part.
Yeah.
We all need support when we're going through these things, and the support of just having someone there could mean all the world. It makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah.
So definitely kudos to your mother, and I'm pretty sure other friends and family that supported, offered, even if it's just a word of advice, a prayer.
Yeah, my
Again.
baby, she was in college, but she would come down and spend the weekend, like, pack her bag.
Mm-hmm.
And we order, I would order her takeout and just kind of made it seem like we were at home. You know what I'm saying? I made the best of it in the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
So, even though I was in the hospital and my nurses kind of like, they just made me like, I even had a nurse that she gave me a manicure because I think she did nails, like she was a nurse,
Sure.
MA, a nurse, but she also like did nails part time, for a hobby. And she brung her manicure kit. I'm soaking my nails. She made, so my nurses were very, very, shout out to all of my nurses, man. They were super special. It made me feel really nice. But like I said, like if my daughter or anybody wanted to stay the night with
Mm-hmm.
me or what have you, it was no problem. So like my daughter would come down for the weekend and I order her takeout, and of course, she's on her cell phone and propped up in the recliner chair and talking to her friends or whatever. But just her presence, and she come to check on her mama, was all good for me.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, definitely. Wow. So you make it through this cancer diagnosis. You make it through being told that you're not going to make it. You make it through hospice. You make it through chemo. You make it through
Hmm.
stem cell treatments, and then you're told that it's in remission. I know that was a difficult part of life.
Yeah,
What's
because I
life
was
like for
like,
you
what
now?
do I do? What do I go? Like,
Mm-hmm.
because, like, let me say that, like I said, I used to do in corporate America, but the chemotherapy does a toll on your body.
Mm-hmm.
And I, up until like literally, God is like still like, even to this day, like right now, healing slowly but surely. Like He's healing me because I can remember when like last year during the pandemic, and shortly after I joined the community of He Said, She Said, and it was amazing. I was so grateful for community because I was going through a lonely spell, what have you, and I was going through like couldn't return to work and being at home and you know what I'm saying and lonely or what have you, like I said, and I didn't have as much strength as I have now. You know what I'm saying? So each
Mm-hmm.
month, like, and then the chemo had left me like now. I'm just so grateful because when like I was saying, I joined the group and we would have like I wanted to be a part of, and we would have Zoom, and I wanted to like you know make new family or friends or what have you and articulate and speak to and I couldn't, like, I would have brain freeze. They didn't know, like, I would
Mm-hmm.
lose train of thought. Sometimes I couldn't say what I wanted to say even
Mm-hmm.
then. So that was even like a year ago. And so like now, like, I mean, now it's gotten a lot better, you know what I'm saying? Like
Mm-hmm.
the chemo had left me with not being able to, like, I still got a ways to go on different stuff to navigate through technology or what have you, but I wasn't able to like now speak to you like I am now and
Mm-hmm.
articulate the way that I can communicate like before. I felt like I was fairly smart young lady and able to I had some good job positions or what have you, and I was able to communicate. But that chemotherapy had done like, and it does like the after effects, even though you so called like in remission or healed, but it does damage to your body. So yeah, like I'm still, there are different things that kind of like were were not so good last year. Even now it's getting better and better. My hair is growing back better. It's different things. So now, my weight is, I'm just like, okay, hold up, God, I don't want to gain too much weight, but but
You don't want your cup to run over that much.
right. So yeah, miraculously, like things are like waking up. Like, you know what I'm
Sure.
saying? Like, yeah, my body is healing. Thank goodness, after remission, slowly but surely, so now like I'm able to not only walk on my own, like I serve, every other Sunday in church. I'm able to stand, jump, run, praise God, run on the treadmill and everything now.
Wow. Wow. What a journey. What a
Yes.
journey. One last question. Um, what advice would you give to someone that's going through this? Because, like you said, when you're going through this, you feel lonely. You feel like no one understands. You at times probably feel like giving up. What advice would you give them?
Um, Support. Like reach out. If you don't, like, everybody, like, like it depends, like, you could be older, you could be young, it could be, I don't know, but they have support groups.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, keep your faith. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Like, keep a positive mindset. You know what I'm saying? You can't, like, I'm a part of a myeloma support group that's on Facebook, and it's like thousands of people from different places, different states, or what have you, and a lot of them are dying daily. Sad to say, you may like open up the page each morning, like it's not rare to like see that, hey, my father died, sadly to say, yes, my daughter died, whatever. So a lot of them aren't making it. And so support and keeping a positive mindset, yeah, like staying positive, yeah, and reaching out, like support is very important. Like they have, like, generally whatever cancer you have, they generally have all type of support groups in line for you.
Mhm. Mhm. Okay. All right. And wow. First off, okay, thank you. I want to say I'm happy that you're here. We actually met for the first time about a year ago. Uh, during one of the he said she said talks. My brother Joe Joseph Hope III, who actually just released a book called "As God Spoke, I Wrote." Please check it out on Amazon. Please buy about 9 copies. We actually met uh, on his show, and I think that's the first time that we got to speak during one of his monthly relationship sessions. And as I got to learn more and more of your story, I was more intrigued. And then when I found out that you had the same exact type of cancer that my father had, I said, "Oh, hang on. There's a reason for that." So, I don't know what was moving in the universe, but there's a reason that we spoke and met when
Yes,
we did.
yes,
And
yeah. The timing
I just
is
want to
just
say I
right.
applaud you.
Thank you so much. It's
Definitely.
all
I just want to
God,
say that
all God.
definitely. I just want to say I applaud your strength. I applaud your courage. I'm so happy that you're here. I'm so happy that we've gotten to meet, and I'm so happy for what's next for you because I think that a lot of people are going to learn from this. I think that you're going to help a lot of people more than you know. What I always say about all of my shows is that the show is bigger than me. The show is bigger than all of us. I think that your story is going to touch so many people, and I really look forward to seeing where it's going to go from there. And
Thank you
so,
so much.
thank you. Before we go
Thank
to Q
you.
and A, thank you. Before we go to Q&A, I actually found a couple of your pictures so that people can actually see your journey.
Okay, I was
And
gonna ask you that.
oh, I got you. I got
Yeah.
you.
All right.
I got you.
Because, and I
Let me pull
also
up.
just want to include, you have to like have strong faith because,
Definitely.
there are those who they ask, well, what if it comes back again? You
Hmm.
know, because there are those that are on like, that it does come back, and just
Sure.
my faith, like God has just told me that you are completely healed. So, like I said, staying positive and keeping the faith is so very
Hmm.
important.
Yeah, definitely. 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 Hang on.
What
So just an
pictures you
example.
got, James? I'm gonna kill you. Oh, that's my stem cell blood.
ironically,
Wow.
ironically, one of my last two episodes was about a friend of mine is a vampire. So I don't know if she was actually on earlier. I don't know if she still is, but she might say that blood looked kind of good right there. So luckily she's not on anymore.
OMG.
um, that shoe right there, going
OMG.
through your treatment, going through your journey,
OMG.
going through your journey.
OMG.
There's your before.
Yeah, that's the beginning. That's the beginning when I was at. All right. Yeah, that's after. That's the beginning when I was working, and I started
Mhm.
having symptoms.
And here's the after.
All right, now don't gain too much weight, sister. Yes, I love the water. I love the water, and I love to like. That's the city. You better come visit us, James. That's our city.
I'm
That's
I'm gonna come down.
downtown. Yeah.
I'm
So
gonna come
I.
down as long as y'all weather's not too hot.
Right. Yeah, and I just love nature. Like as you see, like I got a dog
Sure.
during the pandemic. So a lot of the
Mhm.
times, what I'm saying, I go to like various different parks around the city. Since I can't, just make it to the beach all the time, I just go and just enjoy the nature of the parks
Mhm.
and stuff like that in the city.
Okay. And how ironic is it you have the full Army BDUs on, like you ready for war? It's like
Yes,
you went through a
yes.
war and you won.
I am a soldier. I
And of
mean,
course, it had to
I
include.
couldn't like I mean they go to the beach. God, I'm point like that's it. But yeah, I mean, it's
Mhm.
like I have a confidence that I really didn't even know that I had. Because I mean, I didn't have it. I just it just came,
Mhm.
when it was time to fight.
Mhm.
I said I wanted to live, and I told
And
God
you
I want to live. So here I am.
and you did that. Definitely did just that. What we're gonna do is we're gonna open it up for questions or comments. For those of you that are new to the show, the way that we do it in order to keep order is you use the hand raise option. So in order to raise your hand, there should be three dots on either the top or bottom of your screen that should say more. Once you find those three dots, there should be an option there to raise your hand. So if you press that, a hand will come up. I can acknowledge you. If you're having trouble with that, you can type your question or comment in the chat. If all else fails, take yourself off of mute. Let me know that you have a question or comment. I can acknowledge you, and you can, definitely relay your questions or comments for Marlena. So let's give people a couple of seconds. All right, Tracy, you have your hand up.
Hello.
Yeah, Tracy. Hey, how are you?
Hi, doing great. I was
Good,
going to
good.
say, well, beautiful story, Marlena. I'm so glad that you told it. And thinking about like ways that people can support someone that's going through like a similar situation. Sometimes, like when you have special cancers like this, or someone who's otherwise healthy and you would never expect such a thing to happen, like sometimes I would not know like what do they want to hear, or so that you are not saying the wrong things, and how to be super supportive to them. And of course you don't want to pity them, because pity sometimes don't mean anything, but like
Mhm.
what's the best way to like support, or what's the support, or what would you have liked to have heard, or even maybe even still hear, after having gone through and looking back, at what you were going through? How could your family have, not to say that they did bad or anything, but like what's the
Mhm.
ultimate way that somebody can support someone that could come into this situation, out of nowhere, a person that you think is good, now has this life-threatening cancer. How do you handle a situation or make life easier, better for them and comfort them in that situation?
Oh, that is so sweet. My best friend Tracy. Now, Tracy, you are amazing. You got a really, really great heart, and I'm so grateful for you. Um, I would say just offering to come and sit with was the like during chemo, if you offer a person your company and you just ask them, hey, I always ask them any cancer patient or any particular, like, ask them how they doing today, because each day would be a different day. Now, you would have an up day, you would have a down day, or just even throughout the day. Always consider asking them, maybe speaking to them on the phone or even going to visit them, how are you doing? How are you feeling? Because the symptoms or the pain or the nausea is up, is down, it's like, it's unpredictable. So yeah, that's the main thing I would say is, always ask. Like, that makes a person, asking them how are they feeling would be, it's so humbling. How are you feeling? Because you always, like, you so used to pain or nausea. So yeah, asking them how are they feeling is just so enlightening. And then also, offering, like, to come sit with them, even if it's, at their home, or even if it's at the hospital, even if it's during treatment, offering, to come and sit with them.
Wow. All right, Tracy, did I answer your question? I'm not sure.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you. Larita, you have your hand up.
Yes. Hey, Marlena. First of all, thank you for sharing your story and being so transparent. You definitely gave me insight, because I have a friend right now from high school who I've known for well over 25 years who's going through it right now. And, me and my teammates from the track team, we put care packages together. So every week, unexpectedly, she got a care package. Unexpectedly, she got a care package. And we, actually made shirts saying hashtag ISA strong, just to show that we were standing with her, even though we couldn't physically be with her. So I guess my question is, was it harder physically to go through it, or was it harder mentally to go through? Like, which battle for you was more intense or harder?
I would say, um, like, in the process, it was physically, because I was always in pain. I was always in pain, like always in pain, and like, yeah, like very, very severe pain and nausea. So it was physically, I would say. And then after, I started to be in remission, the mental part is where I was like, okay, well, God, what do I do? I'm so weak and frail. What would, where, like, yeah, the mental part kicks in, like, as your pain become a little less and you begin to heal a little more. And then that's when the mental part, but yeah, but the mental part was there also as well, but the physical was more intense.
Okay. One more question. When your friends and family who couldn't so much understand it because they might not have gone through it, is there a time where, like, for instance, I have my friend who I just sometimes just don't know what to say to her. I know you said, just go and ask them how they're doing, maybe visit them. Was there ever a time you just felt like uncomfortable when people were coming around and you just didn't want to be around them, even though they were, showing you, the abundance of love? Is there ever a time you just like, I just don't want to be bothered?
Um,
Or was there anything ever wrong per se said to you?
I can't think of only way I would say that it's a bad time to be around is if because of you're in pain or you're hurting. It's nothing per se what the other person, you know, if it's bad time and just maybe because they're uncomfortable, because they're in pain, or because, you know, they're tired or weak, but it's nothing that the other person is doing. You know what I'm saying? Like or uh I guess it's real personal. So I do want, this just came to my mind, like it's very personal. So allow that person to give you details. Don't ask questions. Like let them, because it's going to be a time and a point where you'll share, or you'll be comfortable enough to share. But yeah, it's not very like, it's not really a good feeling to have a lot of questions asked, because for one of the things that you may not even know, but then a lot of things that you may feel uncomfortable. So yeah, allow them to you know, give you information and stuff like that instead of asking a lot of questions. So I guess you would just probably just have neutral conversations about stuff. Yeah, that's pretty much like when my family or my girls would come, we would have neutral conversations. That was just for me because I was very private, because I was doing a lot of, when I was alone, I was doing a lot of praying and a lot of talking to God, and I had spiritual music in my hospital room. So a lot of the times where they would come, we would just talk about, you know, things that, you know, may have went on in the news, or things that you know, what was going on in their life and stuff like that.
Okay.
That type of stuff.
Okay. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you. Joe has his hand up.
Hey, Marlena. Thank
Hey.
you for thank you for sharing your story. As everybody's echoed, we all been inspired by the courage and the boldness that you had to come on this platform to share your story.
Thank you.
I wanted to ask a question. Have you ever thought about writing a book to share your journey?
I have, but I have fear that well, I've always had thoughts of a book about my life. Because I've had like a journal, like, I mean, I've had a journey where, until like after cancer, now I know that God has been with me the whole time, and I'm so super blessed. Like, yeah, because I was, I was very, I grew up very insecure, and very, very insecure, and very like, you know, I don't know how to describe it, but I used to be sad a lot. I had a lot of sadness in my childhood, so put it like that. And so yeah, I always like, okay, I want to, like, as a teenager coming up, I was like, I want to tell my, you know, story, you know, or whatever about that. But then, yeah, after cancer, I don't know, like, uh, I don't know, like, yeah, now that's something to think about. Yeah, the maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I will read it.
I'll check it out too. Definitely will support.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Yeah, because I mean, y'all don't know it. Like, I'm really, like, y'all don't know. Today, I told James that I am facing a fear, because like I'm able to chat on group me and Facebook or Instagram or whatever, and that's just through I'm able to write and to express myself through writing through electronics, but I'm really shy. I mean, like in person, unless I get to know you, like, I really am shy. So today, it's just I pray really, you know, for God's presence, and this is all God. And I'm very, you know, I got a rapport with James, and I told him like I'm facing my fear, because I I can't believe this is my first time ever sharing like this.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so funny. You would think that you've done this multiple times.
No, no, no. In a public, no, no. On a platform, no. I because I've tried it. I was a part of an organization where I would just have to get up and read. And no matter how many years I had been a part of that organization, I would always tremble and shake just reading a little small part in front of a public platform. Yeah, but I just maybe because you guys are family, so to speak, not everybody, but and then I know like everybody's like, pretty positive. So I don't know, just some reason, I don't know, it's God just like shut the nerves off, and it's just maybe my
Yeah,
story needed to be told. Because I
yeah,
told God, like I just thank him for allowing me to live. And I would share my story because let me just share briefly. Like like I said, I used to be very, very private and to myself. I mean, like I said, I didn't even tell family members when it first got diagnosed or what have you, just very few select. And this one woman who also was going through the battle was a Facebook friend. And she reached out to me and she kind of like, became like an inspiration to me. And she shares with me, she says, don't keep it to yourself. She said, don't be quiet. She says, you know what I'm saying? You share because somebody else, you could help somebody else. And that's kind of like what I did, because it just changed how like even my Facebook posting and what have you. Because I didn't post like I used to post years ago before, you know what I'm saying? And she just told me, that I could help somebody. And once you go through what you go through, it changes your heart and it changes, and you want to help others, and your heart is totally different. So yeah.
yeah, definitely. Donna, Tracy had her hand up, but before that, there were a couple of comments in the chat that I wanted to read. Janine and Eric wrote, "Thank you for sharing your story. Dealing with the mental health aspect is the part that always gets left out. Great tips for a support system and letting family know how they can help. Friends and family want to help but don't know how. Just telling them, give them a call and talk, not looking for them to solve it. Just show up and be with me on the journey." Definitely. Definitely. That's great, great advice. Um, listen. All right, hang on one second. Yeah, Tracy, I'm sorry. You had your hand up?
Yes.
Okay.
I was gonna just remind Marlena that perfect practice makes perfect. So the more you get out there, the more you tell your story, the more you'll get more comfortable. And I've never ever have gone through, and Lord God, just be with me, that I never have to go through anything like it. But on my own scale, there was something where I have like tumors, and I think I've told you about it. And the days before finding out about it, I had no idea. No one in my family, no one in my life had the same thing. Like the day after, and I mentioned it to certain people, my own mom is like, just was, I guess, in her idea of like protecting us, never mentioned it. But like several of my coworkers have the same thing. So now I make it an effort that you are going to hear me talk about these fibroid things.
Yes.
And they are so common. And when you read all the articles, they tell you about how it's so common in African American women, but most of the people I know are Caucasian women that have it too. And it's just like you just have to like tell your story continually so that other people who feel like they're by themselves, that just feel all alone, who feel like, why in the world did this happen to me? And then you start to realize it's not there. And the beautiful thing about that is I remember feeling like, oh my God, I'm just all by myself. Like nobody else has gone through this. Like, why me? And a friend a long time ago, when I first found out, and she was like, oh my God, I don't have anything like this. But she was much younger than me. And I was like, well, you got to be mindful of, when you get older. And now she has the same thing. And the beautiful part about that is like, she's not alone. She knows exactly who to talk to.
Yes.
She already knows, and Tracy's already been through this, and so she didn't have that any initial fears, any I haven't heard of this, any how did this come forward, because she'd already heard everything that I had to say about it before. So it makes it so easy. And when she talks about her own, she's is so comfortable, and I feel like not to say yeah I did that, but I feel like just introduce it, because I'm sure she did her own research as well. But introducing that to my friends, female friends, something that is super common like that, just kind of I feel like helps people prepare themselves. So I said all that to say, like, just continue to sell your story, even if it's not the same type of cancer. Like, we always hear all the time of rare cancers, of rare bone disease, of rare. And even if someone doesn't have the same exact one that you have, they have something that they are not expecting. You hear so many stories of people who were one day healthy, the next day different things, something happened, that came out of nowhere. And when I first got on, you said something about not being regular, and me and my coworkers, we talk all the time about regularity. It's just, they always get on me of talking about it. But even your story is making me like, I got to continue to talk about it, because if your body isn't detoxing itself, it's not being regular, it is staying in you, and that's a breeding ground for cancers. So now I even wrote that down when you said that in the beginning, even before you got in your story, because I'm like, I got to pass this on. I got to tell them of something to look for. I don't know if they will ever have a cancer, but if it's on my watch, it's not going to be because of the reasons that you told me. They are going to have to know about it. So continue to tell your story. We need to hear it. Thanks.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you, Tracy. Yeah, you got some good points, definitely. Because my dad also, he was like, well, maybe he should get, because he was like, he had symptoms of not being regular. So he was like, well, maybe he should get checked out or what have you. And then also to the point of like sharing, like, because my grandmother who helped raise me, God bless her soul, she was meant so much to me. She passed of breast cancer. And it was so shocking and so fast because she didn't talk, she didn't tell us. I mean, nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like old school, like people, like, they don't, people are not like, some people just talk, don't say nothing, or don't, hush hush or whatever. And like, no, like, no, like, I mean, I just don't see like what's the benefit of, like, I mean, you don't, I don't know, just like, I mean, I just want to help others. And then like when I came along, my grandmother, she's been gone like 6 years now. And then once I got it, if I would have known a little bit, like I didn't even know what chemotherapy, even a person that hasn't been through chemotherapy probably know what chemotherapy is, but I didn't. You know what I'm saying? I had no idea about so much that I had to either Google or get the information from my specialist or what have you. So, I mean, yeah, like that would have been helpful if I would have knew something, of, my whatever my grandmother was going through, bless her soul, like the nausea, the pain, the no sleeping. Oh my goodness. So yeah, it's important because yes.
Definitely. Larita has her hand up.
Yeah, I just have a question regarding, you was talking about the chemo. When you said that you were given or administered the most intense, was that the one that they nicknamed Red Death? Because I only know this because, again, my friend is going through it now, and she went through one form of chemo, and then they said it wasn't working or it stopped working, and then she had to get what they call Red Death, and that's more intense. It's the most intense one, and she's really physically going through it right now. So is that
I'm not quite sure if that's one of the names for the technologies of it. I didn't, like, a lot of the stuff I didn't even like a lot of people that's on this journey, especially like they jotting down like medicines and asking questions about what did this medicine do and what did this medicine do. Only thing I journal was talking to God and telling God I want to live. And I journal like how I look, I photo journal like from when all my hair got lost and when I was weak and frail, when I was on a walker, from when I began to walk and stuff like that. So I didn't get into a lot of Like, I mean, well, first of all, chemo wipes up. I mean, a lot of the stuff, your memory is wiped out as well. But
Okay.
that's probably if she's going through like a lot of her hair follicles and stuff coming out and stuff like that.
Everything. All her hair
Yes.
fell out. Yeah, she's going through it now. She just lost her mom a couple of days ago to breast cancer. So she's in a state of,
Oh
yeah,
wow.
she's at a very fragile point right now.
Oh
For
wow.
those who don't, like, I don't know the exact journey, would you mind describing what the procedures are when you go through chemotherapy? Like, is it orally? Is it injections? Like, can you describe how that is?
Well, they do have both. Um, Probably what she's going through is the injections, which they find a spot and inject into your arm, and use like each it's so various different kinds of chemotherapy, and what they have to do is each specialist or therapist has to um kind of like I guess they're just they have to pretty much see what works, because they don't know. So it's experimenting. They're just say
Right.
experimenting. So they experimenting to see what's going, or what history has, what has worked on what. So they experiment in different. They got, like I said, they got various different names of chemotherapy. It's not just one. It's tons of them, and generally it's done through IV. And
Okay.
they do have a chemo peel as well, though.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they do have a chemo peel, which you have to take. Well, I was on that as well for maybe a couple of months, and it didn't do good with me. And then it's very expensive. And a lot of times the insurance don't cover it. But yeah, and then like it's done IV, and then depending upon what it is, it's administered in your body. I don't know how it's done, but even maybe it's your body weight or whatever, it's administered in a certain amount of time. Some chemo is done in like an hour and a half, it's put into your body. Some chemo, it may take 4 hours. Some chemo may take 6 or 8 hours. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, you have to just, you sit there and it's administered slowly at a certain pace. The machine makes sure, it's not going in rapidly or anything. It has a certain pace. It has to go in, and you have to be monitored the whole time to make sure you're not having a reaction.
And my last question, and I'll stop. Were there any other alternative things that you did to try to improve your health, like going completely alkaline, raw foods, cutting out certain things, or did you try to do the natural route at all?
Well, I'm doing it now because I'm gonna tell you, y'all, you be so hungry, and I was like, I'm telling you, I was so hard headed, like.
And you're in the South, so I know it's harder.
Right, like I'm having friends bring in a sub sandwich, and I'm sneaking it under. I'm just like, oh my God, because majority of the time I was so small and skinny, and I was so hungry. Majority of the time I was on a liquid diet, and I used to be starving. And so, like, any chance I get, I was trying to get Bojangles, I mean, chicken or something. Like, I'm telling you, and it was not healthy. But yeah, but I learned though. I mean, yeah, like, in order for me to stay out of the ER and to have a normal way of life, I have to eat right. It's very essential. Like the cancer did so much damage to my stomach. Like now, I mean, I have to take medicine now to stay regular, because if I don't take the medicine, I won't go. So it did so much damage to my GI tract, and also it affected my heart. Thank God my heart is doing a lot better. But yeah, so if anything, only thing that I deal with now is I have to make sure I don't overdo it with my diet, like, or making sure, like now. So I'm trying to find the healthiest routes now,
Mhm.
because if I don't, I'm going to be in pain and eventually have to go back to the ER.
Right.
Mhm.
Okay. Wow. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. In the chat, we had a diva. I've been in healthcare for years. I've dealt with so many clients with cancer. I have never spoken with someone who has stage 4 cancer and bounced back like you. Marlena, you are truly covered and blessed. Cancer affects people mentally and physically. I applaud you. You are truly a hero.
Thank you. Thank you so much. God
Yes,
is
yeah.
so amazing.
Mhm. Definitely. So before we wrap it up, does anyone else have any other questions or comments before we go? Just want to make sure. Uh, let's see. All right. Well, Marlena, once again, thank you. Um, I don't think you know how far, I'm sorry, the fruits that this interview is going to bear. A lot of people are going to, I think, heal just from hearing your story, or they're going to make lifestyle changes just after hearing your story. So uh, I thank you for your courage of going through this battle, your courage of coming on and telling your story. And I just want to thank you for being you. I really, really appreciate
Thank you, James, because you made it so easy.
it.
Thank you so much. I mean, you do, like, you just made me feel comfortable, and I mean, I don't even know you, Joe. I promise not to steal your best friend. But you just like a best friend or a brother, like, you know what I'm saying. Like, I feel so comfortable with you.
Thank you. No, well, I appreciate that. I definitely, definitely appreciate that. Hang on. Um, okay, we're gonna wrap it up before we do. All right, Larita had one more question before we went.
It's not so much a question. I just want to commend you, Marlena. I had a hard time sharing my story as well because it has a certain type of pain and depth of darkness. So I do understand what you were feeling. And share your story, write your book. You went through this and you came out on the other side because it was meant for you to do so, not for you, but to share and help the next person and the next person and the next person, to let them know that they're not alone in the world, even if they're not going through the answer, they're going through maybe that
Yes,
similar journey of darkness, and they'll be able to come
yes,
through it, and that they're not alone in the world. So I do commend you. Write your story and share it with the world.
yes. Thank you so much, Larita. Yes.
You're welcome.
Most definitely. So before we go, I just want to first off thank the audience. I want to thank all of you for being here live, and those of you that will be watching this when I post this video online later. I really, really appreciate you. I do see a few new faces here. So first off, I want to thank you all for coming for the first time. Hopefully you enjoyed the show. Hopefully you learned a lot and enjoyed Marlena's story. Uh, this show is kind of like a passion project for me. When I decided to come up with this show, I'd been speaking with my best friend Joe, and I was in a sense like I was in a void in my life. There was something missing in my life, and I said jokingly, I want to do a podcast, jokingly, and the next day I didn't plan on doing it, and then Joe called me and said, "Okay, so when's your first day? I'm your first guest." So with this show, we're now coming up on a year, and we've covered so many topics that the average person would consider to be taboo. But to me, there's nothing that's taboo. I think that the world needs more of understanding each other instead of understanding labels of each other. My goal with every episode is to humanize whoever I interview. The show is not about their illness or whatever they're going through. It's about them and how they're making it through whatever they're going through. So if you have not yet, please like and subscribe to the Fall to Rise podcast YouTube channel. I'm actually going to put it in the chat if it works. And for those that are watching online, is Fall to Rise on YouTube as well as Instagram and Facebook. Hang on one second. Let's try to put it in the chat. Sorry about that. Fall to Rise podcast. Please like and subscribe. We've covered everything from abstinence to mental health, daddy issues and how they affect men, racial identity. Larita's been on 3 episodes so far. we've covered domestic violence. Kat's been she's been on. Let's see, I'm just running through the list. Joe's been on a couple of episodes. So we've covered everything from homelessness to molestation, suicide, depression. I just interviewed someone recently that's in prison for life. The person that I interviewed is still in prison right now. And we covered his journey and how he turned his life around while in prison and became a best-selling author. So we definitely invite you to check the show out. Again, there's nothing that's taboo. We've covered mental health, and I've also interviewed a friend of mine that's a vampire. So, with this show, you never know. You never know what you're going to hear. You never know what you're going to see. But in every case, it's going to be genuine. It's not going to be to exploit the person. It's going to be to understand each other. And I think that's what we need more of in this world. We need to just stop letting others speak for us. Stop letting the news tell us what each other's like. We just need to understand each other and speak to each other. And that's what we hope to do with every episode. So please, again, like and subscribe to the Fall to Rise podcast YouTube channel, as well as the Fall to Rise podcast Instagram and Facebook. We have exclusive content that will be coming to those pages. You can also find me on another show, which is the Extreme Truth podcast, which takes place on Mondays at 8 p.m. For that one, viewers' discretion is advised. For that one, but it's with myself, my guest, Legend Damian Simmons, and James the Icon Grant, and we tackle a little bit of everything. But again, with that one, viewers' discretion is advised. Please like and subscribe to the Extreme Truth YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram channels with that one as well. Before we go, he doesn't know I'm going to do this, but my brother Joe did something that he's been talking about doing for a while, and he did it quickly, and I could not be more proud of him. Yeah. So my brother Joe actually just released his first book called As God Spoke, I Wrote. It's an 18-month journey. It's an amazing book. We're actually going to have him on the show in a couple of weeks. As someone that has known Joe for more than 3/4 of my life, Joe and I have been friends for about 25 years. So, I couldn't be more proud because I know his journey. I was there for 90% of it. So if you want something that's really interesting, that's true, that's honest, please, please, please purchase a copy of this book. It's on Amazon. You can look it up under his name, Joseph Hold with the Third, as I have it on the screen, or under As God Spoke, I Wrote, an 18-month journey. I don't know if Joe is still with us. He may have left, or he may not be able to speak, but Joe, again, is one of my longest friends. He's the leader of the He Said, She Said ministry. We also have a few other members of the ministry here. So again, if you get a chance, please, please, please buy your copy. My 5 copies should hopefully be here soon. So please, buy a copy. So for, once again, Marlena, thank you. I really, really appreciate you. And for those of you that are tuning in, I really, really appreciate you. Hopefully we see you all next week. God bless.
Thank you.